Okay. Thank you, everybody, for coming to our third general body meeting. We'll start with an icebreaker today, like we always do. So we'll do name, major, your year, and what movie do you think everyone should watch? So I'm Kayla Covington. I'm the president of Engineers for Sustainable World. I'm a 5th year in chemical engineering. Sorry, that's my dog. And I think everybody should watch Parasite. Michaela or Megan, do you want to go down the list? I can't see who's on teams.
I can do it, sure.
Thank you.
Okay. Ashley.
So I'm Ashley Knight, and I'm a 5th year chemical engineering student. And a movie I think that everybody should watch is The Goonies, because it's one of my favorite movies. It's like a classic for me.
Awesome. All right. Brooklyn.
My name's Brooklyn, first year chemical engineering major, and I think everyone should watch Hercules because it's my favorite Disney movie.
Awesome. All right. Aaron. Oh, wait, no, I skipped somebody. I'm sorry. Christine.
Hi, my name's Christy Skaken, and I'm a 2nd year biomedical engineer. And I think everyone should watch The Karate Kid, the original, because I watched it for the first time and it was really good. So, yeah.
Okay, now Aaron.
I am a 2nd year electrical engineering major, and I think that everybody should watch Legally Blonde.
It's a good movie.
Good one.
All right, Kayla, you already went, right?
Yes.
Okay. Keith.
Keith Small. I'm an electrical engineering major in my final year. Yay. I helped found ESW, and I think that everyone should watch Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind because it's an amazing movie.
All right. Lara, do you want to go?
Hi, it's Laura.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I am done with school, so I have a PhD from Akron in integrated biosciences. I graduated in 2015. I have gone back to school to take some classes at CSU this year in nonprofit management. And I just watched Enola Holmes on Netflix, and it was awesome. It was so great. It was a really happy, fun movie to get lost in. It made you feel like you were traveling to a new world. It was great.
All right. Megan Arsena.
Hi, I'm Megan. I'm a 3rd-ish year mechanical engineering major. Everybody should watch Tangled. That's like my favorite Disney movie. So, yeah.
Alrighty. Megan Stanfield.
Hi, I'm Megan. I'm a 2nd year mechanical engineering student. Tangled is a bop. Everybody should also watch Coco.
It's a good one. All right, and Molly.
Hi, I'm Molly. I'm a 5th year computer engineering student, and I think everyone should watch any of the Transformers movies. They're really good.
All right. Did I miss anybody?
Michaela, what is your name, major, year, and what movie do you think everyone should watch?
Okay. Hi, I'm Michaela. I'm the vice president of ESW. I'm a 2nd year civil engineering major. I don't know why I sounded so unsure about that. I should have that figured out by now. A movie that I think everyone should watch, if you want a fun movie, hands down, but only the first one. And then if you want like a serious movie, there's The Devil We Know on Netflix. It's a documentary about the Teflon industry and DuPont. And then I just watched The Social Dilemma for I think that's what it was called. It was about like media usage and cell phones, and that was really good. So, yeah.
Awesome. A lot of great movies that we can watch this week. Just a reminder, we use Slack to communicate. So if you aren't on Slack yet, send me a message and I can get you hooked up. And don't forget to turn on notifications. We're currently having a scavenger hunt on Slack, and that will end the end of this month. We have 4 prizes. So for the first 3 people to finish, and then the person with the funniest picture. We also have Egg Crate Gardens coming up this week. This Thursday, October 15th, we'll be in front of the Union on the Starbucks entrance side from 11:30 to 3. Hopefully that's still available because I saw that they're shutting the Union down because somebody had COVID. So hopefully we can still have that. But pretty much we will have empty egg cartons with soil in them, and we'll give them away for free with seeds of your choice. We'll have a kind of variety, I think, between vegetables and flowers, so you can come pick those up on campus. We're also having a voting for sustainability event led by Dr. Terry O'Sullivan, where we'll learn about how to research what's on the ballot so that we can make the most educated vote that promotes sustainability. And that's going to be on Thursday, October 27th at 4:30 on Teams. Actually, it's going to be on Zoom, so we'll send out a link for that.
I also think that we should mention that our Chipotle fundraiser is next Wednesday, the 21st, from 4 to 8 p.m. I think the flyer's in our email, and you show it to them at that Chipotle on Exchange Street. So plan for Chipotle on Wednesday.
And if you'd prefer to like order online or whatever, on that flyer at the bottom in the fine print, there is like a promo code that you would put in. So if you prefer to do it online or through the app, you can do it that way too.
Awesome. Thank you guys for reminding me. I completely forgot. We also have a mentoring program. So if you need help or advice, you can fill out a form that we have at the bottom of all of our emails to talk to one of our upperclassmen at ASW, and maybe we can help you out. And then our projects. So we have our education team led by Megan. They meet every Thursday from 6 to 7 on MS Teams. And they're working on putting some like a PowerPoint together to share with schools. We also have Zips Precious Plastics. We meet every Thursday at 5 on MS Teams. We're currently working on building the shredder and the extruder. And then hopefully we'll be able to move on to the compressor soon. So come if you're interested in plastic recycling. And then we also have Bike Power. That's led by Michaela. They meet every Tuesday from 6 to 7 on MS Teams. And they're working on getting the prototype together for this. So they're working on ordering parts and getting everything ready to build. We have today's speaker, Laura. She manages the field station that UA owns, which maybe a lot of you don't even know about the field station. And she's also a biology professor. So I'm going to hand this over to Laura. So let me stop sharing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Kayla was one of my first students when I taught biology in the summer at the University of Akron. So I'm happy that we've maintained our relationship and so glad to be here with all of you tonight. Actually at the field station tonight. It's a beautiful day to be out in a 400-acre nature preserve. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. I have a goofy video embedded in my PowerPoint so that you get a little aerial tour via drone of what the property looks like, so you can see what that is. And then mostly I'm going to be talking to you about our outreach programs, which sound like they go along quite well with your education and your precious plastics program. So hopefully we can find ways to support each other. We really are interested in working with students from campus, and so we're happy to find ways that we can better support you guys and have you involved in some of the stuff that the kind of things that we have already built. So let me see if I can share my content here. Hopefully it goes to the right thing. Who knows what's up on my screen? Okay, can you guys all see that? Yeah, okay. Okay, still good? Okay, so here's an overview shot of the field station. We have 3 properties actually. The main one where I'm at tonight is the Paul Martin Center for Field Studies and Environmental Education. It's located in the 400-acre Bath Nature Preserve, so just about 20 minutes north of campus. Attached to this property is a 25-acre property called the Panzer Wetland Wildlife Reserve, and this property is just over 100 acres, and it's even closer to campus, maybe only 10 or 15 minutes away from campus. It's used to be an agricultural piece of property that had been from drained swampland, and after the family decided that they no longer wanted to farm the property, they restored the hydrology, and so now it's a wetland area again. It's a very cool place. And then we have a small property attached to Bath Nature Preserve that's 28 acres. I think I got myself confused a little bit there. So anyway, 3 properties in total, over 500 acres at the university, either leases or owns. So this big property that I'm at today, we lease, but we have a beautiful building here that we use as kind of our main center of operations. So we have 3 tiers of our mission. They are ecological research, education, and stewardship of the natural world. And then we have several vision goals, a way of reaching that. So we have this long-term center for environmental research. So here at the station, we have classroom spaces and also research spaces, and also meeting spaces and outreach places and exhibits and all kinds of things like that. We want to interact with our local community in promoting environmental awareness, and then we support education programs at our local K through 12 schools. And this says primarily urban, that is our target focus, but we also, as you will see in a minute, work with suburban and rural school districts. Here I am.
Laura, I'm not getting any sound on my end.
Okay, hang on 1 second. So you can't hear it at all?
No.
Is the volume on your computer?
Hang on 1 second. What's that?
Is the volume on your computer?
Well, let me see. How do I get out of full screen? Let me see. And show.
I think on your where it says share content, there's a switch up top above, like where it says like desktop window, whatever. It says include computer sound.
Oh, okay. This is
I
good.
think if
Hold
you
on.
flip it might work.
Let me see if I can get, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Okay, so where do I do it? Update share content?
Yeah, and then above where you select a screen, there's like a little switch thing that you can click include computer sound.
All right, let me try again. I don't use Teams. Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, I don't use Teams ever, so this is very helpful. Thank you all. All right, let's try again from the current slide. Let me know if you can hear this one.
Hi, I'm Dr. Laura Rockatenitz. I'm the manager of the University of Akron Field Station, and I'm here today at the Martin Center for Field Studies and Environmental Education at Bath Nature Preserve. I'm going to give you a quick tour of the property via drone video in just a minute, but I wanted to tell you about this really cool hidden gem that's located 10 minutes from the University of Akron. Our mission at the University of Akron Field Station is scientific research, education, and community outreach. And it is a wonderful place to come explore nature and to learn more about real-time science. So we hope that we see you out here someday. Have a wonderful semester. See you real soon.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. So since you all can't be here today, I thought it would be nice for you to get to see a little of what the field station property looks like. It's really an amazing place filled with forests and shrublands and wetlands. That big pond at the beginning is a remnant from glaciation. So that's a glacial pothole pond. It's 10,000 years old. It's just a really amazing place, and it's accessible to you guys as students of the university to come out here, and also open to the public for hiking and trails and projects and all that kind of stuff. So we, for me, my main passion, even though I am a biologist, I have concluded that my main passion is our outreach program. And it really kind of got started back right away in 2015 when I started here as the manager. And what our plan was is to just provide more access and opportunities to groups that would normally be underserved in this area. So groups that wouldn't necessarily be able to afford field trips or don't have immersion in nature. I mean, going to the zoo is one thing, but going to a nature preserve is a different thing entirely. So we do teach science when kids are out here, but that's not for me the main goal necessarily. It's really to inspire this love of the outdoors, inspire curiosity, motivate students towards action. I think that that's really lacking in our educational background today. We learn about a lot of stuff, but then there's the what next, what do we do next with that knowledge? And so inspiring students to action and feeling empowered to make changes in their world is really important to me. And then obviously long-term goals, we would love it if eventually some of the students that we have for field trips would want to come to the University of Akron to be students as biologists or as engineers, as English majors, that they find something at Akron that they would want to stick around in the area and come here to school. And also then, how do we turn those potential students into future scientists, informed citizens who vote? I love that you guys have a voting initiative coming up, more diversity in the field sciences, which is generally pretty much a monoculture of white people. Like how do we change what that dynamic looks like? And again, how do we empower students to be kind of change makers in their community? So these are all the schools that we've worked with, and this is actually from a couple years ago, so there's probably actually more schools than this that we've worked with in the area. But you can see it's kind of a wide variety, both primary schools, high schools, the whole breadth. I think, I once had a constituent here say we shouldn't be focusing on the little kids because they're not the students that are going to college next. But really building that love of nature and the curiosity for nature is something that starts really early. And so we think it's super important to start instilling those kind of behaviors and attitudes and skills and knowledge in children really as early as possible. So some of my favorite students to work with are like the second graders and the fourth graders. They're not too cool for school yet, so they're interested in being here and learning about nature. They're not afraid to get dirty yet and those kind of things. You can see that the blue pin is where we're located, and you can see where Akron is. So we have a lot of urban schools. We also have suburban and rural schools. So I travel down to Worcester, Doylestown, Rootstown. It's easy for me to get to places that necessarily might not be able to get to us just because of long distances and things like that. And that's true of the local schools as well. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our field trips, but also our in-classroom visits. So here's all the different strategies for outreach that we have. Field trips, we do have one overnight camping trip every year with one school. So we do an overnight camping trip with Bookdale, 6th, 7th, 8th graders from Akron Public Schools. It's located right off of Copley Road. Those kids come for an overnight at Camp Christopher down the street. We do summer camps with Copley Fairlawn schools, some clubs. I am the coach for some science Olympiad. You guys hearing me okay still? I just got a thing pop up that said I have bad network, but it's windy out here at the field station, so that might be why. Internships, community outreach, university classes. There's a field ecology class going on right now through the biology department. I also teach unclasses out here. So last semester I taught an environmental education unclass that was open to all majors, and the year before that I taught a land ethics class, also open to all majors. So I'm hoping to do like an art and science unclass potentially next year sometime. Again, to just kind of reach different students than we would normally reach through traditional university classes. Doing anything now. So in 2015, I wrote a grant to the state for the Ohio Environmental Education Fund, not expecting to get funded, and we got $47,000 to start this outreach program with Book Dole Community Learning Center and Great Lakes Biomimicry. And I'll tell you a little bit more about biomimicry near the end of this, but that's played a really important role in the development of our outreach programs because it's an area of expertise at the University of Akron that we're really proud of and happy to be able to share the word about. So this was a hilarious experience where in 1 week I had, and actually look, it was 5 years ago this month, I had 750 kids come out and visit me in 1 week, and I will never do that again because I have never been so tired in my entire life. It was insane, but it was also great and really inspirational and helped us kind of craft how we wanted to think about doing outreach in the future. So here are some of our pictures from field trips out here. So you can see we do lots of exploring. We try to do different ways of interacting with the environment. So we had yoga and meditation. We have English language arts. We have art. We have just free play. So this picture down here at the bottom is just students playing tag in an open field, like something necessarily not able to do on their schoolyard property. This is actually mud all the way up from his boots to his neck. So he was exploring this wetland down here and fell in, and yeah, he's survived, and it was fun, and we enjoy being able to give students experiences like that they would not be able to have on their schoolyard. So here's more kids in the mud, hiking. Again, a lot of this is relationship building. So you can see me here with a snake and kids that were afraid of snakes, they said, but not really afraid of snakes in the end. This is one of my students, Jakayla, that I have known since she was in 8th grade. I think she'll be a senior this year. And she's somebody that I would love to find a way to facilitate like a paid internship here at the field station for, because she has an aptitude and an interest in nature and in learning about the environment. And so those relationships are really important. You know, we don't just meet with students one time. We meet with students lots of times so that we get to know them and get to know the students that are really, you know, liking these experiences so that we can work with those students in the future. You can see sometimes we do really large groups. So this is a group from North High School at the top in the snow. I thought it was going to be a disaster because it snowed that morning and almost canceled the trip. And that particular high school has students from all over the world in it. And so we had translators here. We printed all of our materials in like 6 or 7 different languages so that students were able to access things in the way that that all students would be able to if we were just providing it in English. And so it was a great experience, and shame on me for wanting to cancel because the kids had a really wonderful time. And these guys are in high school, but these are little guys, and you can see just kind of all different sizes and shapes and types of groups of kids get to come out here on field trips. And that being said, we don't charge for anything. We don't charge a per kid fee. We don't charge for access. We don't charge for my time. Oftentimes we'll pay for buses if schools aren't able to afford them. And we also pay for substitutes if that is a concern at the school, because we feel like by breaking down those barriers of access and opportunity, we're providing some level of social justice, social and environmental justice in that way. You know, if we were trying to make money off of this, it would be something entirely different. The programs would look different, and not everybody would be able to participate in the same way. So we've just taken money out of the equation as best we can, except to give it away when we can. So here's some pictures of the overnight camping trip. So these are absolutely my favorite. It's the most Work, for me, it's also the most rewarding experiences that I get to have with the kids, because we really get to spend, 36 hours together talking and learning about nature. And some of these kids have never gotten to stay overnight in a cabin before, and so we partner with Camp Christopher to be able to do that. Here's from the second year that we did it. So I think we're in we did it this year. We managed to pull it off before COVID, which I'm eternally grateful for. And so I'm not sure that we'll get to do it in 2021, but it's really been a wonderful experience. So I guess maybe we've seen over 100 kids this way. This is by far our most expensive kind of endeavor. So it costs us about $40 a kid. So we have, and that's just for the overnight stay. And then we have the School of Dietetics designs food for the students so that they're eating healthy versions of camp foods. And it's just a really great team effort. It's a wonderful event. So we also, as I said, do summer camp with Copley Fairlawn. We do public programs. This was an art program up here at the top. Students were gonna go outside and do some plein air painting outside in nature. This is a hike for katydids and crickets at night. I've had senior project students come and work with me for a month. And then I coach a science Olympiad team from Copley Fairlawn. That they are pretty delightful group of kids. Okay, so the in-classroom visits, we really focus on biomimicry. I mentioned that earlier, and hopefully you guys are aware of the Biomimicry Research and Innovation Center. I can't see many of you on my screen, so we'll maybe take a poll after we come back together, but I'd be interested to know who of you have heard of the Biomimicry Research and Innovation Center, and those of you who haven't. But this is a really great collaborative effort between biology, art, engineering, design, architecture, business. It's really incredible, a group of people working together. And biomimicry, again, is this idea of innovation inspired by nature. So how do we solve environmental problems or design problems using nature as a model? Like, how do we use adaptations that we find in nature, because nature is amazing. It's problems, right? And translate those into sustainable solutions for humans. So one way that we do this is these biomimicry boxes. So I have these boxes filled with all kinds of things from nature, bones and nuts and mosses and seeds and snake skins and leaves and feathers and all kinds of things. And students will do a detailed scientific drawing, but also answer some questions about how things are related to each other. So in the first picture, that's one of the lecture halls at Akron, because I make my college students do this just as much as I make second graders do this. So we're never too old to really take time to slow down and look at the structure of something in nature, to examine why and how its adaptations help it survive and reproduce. And so, yeah, this is a really fun game that if you guys were here in person, I would make you guys play, of matching innovations with adaptations. And it's always good for a laugh to see how those things go together and how much it takes us humans time to figure out how those things work together. So you can see that that students really love doing this close introspection, and we use microscopes and hand magnifiers. I love the creativity that students come up with. So here's a seashell. It says, what does it look like to you? And he said a turtle shell or an ice cream cone. Students get to work on drawings and again, really think about how the shape and the form informs function. So how the shape of something and its adaptation works to help the critter survive and reproduce. So this has led to this great experience for me, getting to visit this science center in Sitka, Alaska for the last 4 years. And this year, hopefully we'll be doing this virtually, but I bring cicada wings from Ohio, you guys all know the cicadas hatched a few years ago. So I bring cicada wings from Ohio, and the students get to examine those cicada wings in close detail. And you can see that this is a second grader who is saying the lines in the wing look like veins. Well, that's pretty distinct observation for a second grader, right? A 7 or 8 year old, to be able to compare that these look like veins in our body. So he said, I think the lines in the wings are used for pumping blood, like our veins pump blood. And so again, this is that beginning of making an observation, asking questions, and making hypotheses, which is, as you all know, the start of the scientific method. And even if we're not scientists by trade, we use the scientific method every day and kind of figuring out the world around us. And so these are really important skills to start early, teaching children how to be informed citizens and how to be able to make some of these important conclusions on their own. And it's amazing to see the beautiful drawings that the kids come up with too. It always makes me feel really happy that we can cross that left brain, right brain barrier and have students doing science, but also being a bit creative. Okay, so hopefully this video, you guys can see some of it. We probably won't play all of this, but these guys, after I left in Sitka, the students decided to think about how they could protect longline fishing lines from sperm whales that eat all the bait, right? So this is pretty, if you think about it, a pretty sophisticated problem for a second grader. So let's see, hopefully you guys can hear this. Somebody give me a heads up. Well, it might not be a lot of sound. It may just be the movie. I'll let you know. So here's their inspiration, the electric eel. And the blue-ringed octopus. So these students made these stop animation videos with their teacher's help. It's a little slow. I mean, they're in second grade, but you have to, this is pretty amazing thinking here on their part. So here comes our longline fishing line. Here comes our sperm whale. Here's our electric shocks happening. And our sperm whale is scared away from eating the bait off the longline fishing line. Let me skip ahead a little bit. Here's our bright flashes of color, and off the sperm whale goes. So, you know, I just think it's amazing that getting kids thinking about how to solve these complex problems and finding really elegant solutions through nature at an early age. Hopefully we're going to have some grand engineers and designers and artists by the time those kids are in college. I think planting these ideas early and often is really, really important. Another outreach program that we did is with a local Akron high school. This is an all-girls high school, Our Lady of the Elms. They're on Market Street. I met their teacher at a training in the summer, and so we designed this program together through this free online training through National Geographic, which I would advise you all, if you are on your education committee and when you guys are not totally stressed about schoolwork. These are amazing. They look great on your resume, and they are really, really informative. So there's maybe 5 or 6 different classes, but one of them is this collecting data to explore plastic pollution in our communities. You can see that it runs from the end of this month through the middle of December. It is quite a lot of work. Like, you have to go outside and do projects, you know, go to a place and watch how people dispose of trash and use this app called the Marine Debris Tracker. And you can see that this Marine Debris Tracker has this 419 here in Akron is a lot of the Our Lady of the Elms students collecting garbage on their property and recording it in the Marine Debris Tracker. And it actually, I didn't show you a breakdown, but if you download the app, you'll see it breaks it down into like plastic bottles, plastic bottle caps, lighters, cigarette butts, all kinds of different things, so that you can kind of see what plastic pollution is occurring in an area and maybe where it's coming from. And so then that helps them decide how they could do some advocacy around that pollution on their property. We also wanted them to think about being entrepreneurs. So how could they use recycled plastic to be entrepreneurs? And we did talk about your guys' plastic or precious plastics program, and I think it would be a great partnership with a program like that to actually give them the ability to use some of those tools in the future to, you know, make a product. And then we tied in biomimicry because we really wanted to have them think about eco-inspired solutions to plastic pollution. So how do we clean up plastic in our environment based on something that we might learn from nature? How do we break down plastic in our environment from something that we might learn from nature? So all of those kind of things. It was this three-tiered approach to this idea of plastic pollution outreach. This slide on biomimicry here shows you, I just did this last night. So there's 32,000 results about biomimicry in Google Scholar. This is still like a burgeoning field. It's ripe for research. And to me, that's the most exciting part about it, is that there's so much room for growth in this very cool, inspired, hopeful science. Like if I went also last night and looked up what I studied for my PhD, which is weevils. I studied a weevil. It's a type of beetle that eats a plant. And there were 10 times the amount of articles on weevils in Google Scholar. So you can see that this is just still, even though Janine Benius wrote the book on biomimicry in 1997, it's still a burgeoning scientific field. And so there's lots of great opportunities for growth, for innovation, for creative ideas, for problem solving within this arena. And to me, that's what makes it so amazing that Akron has this program at our university. And I don't know if I don't think I said this earlier, but we have one of the only PhD programs in biomimicry in the whole world. And we now also have an undergraduate certificate in biomimicry. So there's classes that you can take and get this biomimicry certificate kind of tacked onto your major, so that potential employees would know that you are, you know, can think outside the box in terms of some of these things. I just think it's a really amazing opportunity that exists at Akron and not very many other places. And again, the reason that this is so important is this article is just, you know, crazy important. So who becomes an inventor in America? Well, it's white males. So women and people of color are not exposed to the idea that they could be inventors, and so they're not. And that means that we have 3/4 of the population, basically women and people of color, who are not inventing, which means that we have 75% less power associated with solving problems. If we only have 25% of the population thinking that they can be inventors and innovators and problem solvers in this sense, then we're missing out on all of these real promise of innovation in these other groups. And so it's really important that we start spreading this knowledge around so that we have a bigger base of people who want to be inventors and who want to think in this mindset, because really we're facing some extraordinary problems as a society moving forward. And, you know, for me, I focus on those environmental issues, but like plastic pollution is one of them. I mean, this is like a really huge worldwide problem. We don't see the effects of it in the United States so much because we have really great plastic recovery, we have recycling, we have good, you know, landfills and all of those things. But in some of the developing world, I mean, the environmental impact of plastic pollution and plastic breakdown on the local environments and then on our global environment is really actually devastating. And that's the same with climate change. And these are complicated problems. And if we only have white males at the table of solving that problem, that's not good, right? We need everyone at the table. We need the women. We need people of color. We need everyone at the table putting our heads together, because that gives us a better chance of actually solving the problem than just maintaining the status quo, which is not good enough. I mean, to be frank. So that's why this is really also important, and why I'm so passionate about teaching students, little students, about biomimicry starting early. So we have tons of partners and funders, and I'm sure that you guys know this, your group is successful already, but you know, it takes a village, and that is true here too. I have dedicated volunteers. I work with dedicated teachers. As you guys are building your education program, just from my experience alone, you have to have a teacher on board at a school that's willing to partner with you, or your program will not be successful. You have to have people that are willing to deliver your content, or your content doesn't go anywhere. So you need to form those relationships, and being creative about how those relationships are formed is really important. So like one of our best partners is the library. We work with them quite a lot on programming because it reaches a different demographic than we would reach on our own. This is a video, which I'm not going to play for you guys, but I will maybe be able to share this PowerPoint with you guys so you can watch this video. I don't want to take, it's 6 o'clock already. So this video is like 22 minutes, and I play this in my undergraduate classes. So Kayla would have seen it already, but it's amazing about biomimicry, and it's an introduction and overview, and she goes through several different examples of both environmental problems and solutions that are already kind of in the works with specific companies. And it makes me, like, it brings tears to my eyes after I watch it, because it's hopeful. It's a hopeful science, and it makes me feel like some of these problems that feel very overwhelming to think about and talk about are actually doable, you know, that we can solve some of these things. And so I really will encourage you guys to take the time to watch this video at some point in the future. If it doesn't work, I can send the link directly to Kayla, and she can send it out to you guys. It's totally worth 22 minutes. It will renew your hope for our future. At least it does for me. And I've watched it, I don't know, a dozen times, and it still gives me goosebumps. Okay, that's all that I have. Let me get back to you here. Wait. Okay, let me stop sharing. Okay, there, can you see me again?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so I think now I have time for questions, and if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask, or advice about your programs, or ideas on how we could partner together, I'm open for any of those things. So go have at it, and don't be shy.
So I just kind of have a general question. With COVID-19, are people still able to come to the field offices and, you know, go hiking, or is that restricted now?
Yep, the park is open, and they just, I think they just put it out on the website. I just got sent a link right before this started. We designed a do-it-yourself nature hike type thing. So you stop at one of the kiosks, you pick up we call it a bingo card, but it's not really bingo. It's just it's a discovery card, a nature discovery card. It has 30 plants or animals on it, and you walk through the park and find all the signs. And once you're done, you turn in your card, and we'll send you some fun stuff in the mail at sometime next month. So it's a great way to get out and explore. The park is open to the public from dawn to dusk. It has really great hiking trails. Kayla's been here, so she can tell you guys a little bit about it. Dogs are welcome as long as they're on a leash and you pick up after them. It's really a great place. Yeah, I went for a really long hike on Friday. And again, this is like one of these places that now I've been here 5 years. I think I've hiked here upwards of 100 times, and like it's never boring. Like we found, you know, a bunch of cool things out on the trails on Friday, and it's just a great place to be. And it's a great time of year. The leaves are starting to change. Not super much yet, but you know, it's getting there.
Laura, as far as the biomimicry certificate is concerned, do you know how many classes, how many credits it composes, and which college we need to look under for the listing?
Yeah, do you mind if I grab it real quick? Let me hang on and I'll go grab it. Just 1 second.
Okay.
While we're waiting for her to come back, I'd like to take a picture for our email and maybe some social media. So if everyone could like turn their cameras on, if you feel comfortable doing that, I'll snap a quick picture and that'll be fun. Okay. Ready, one. Oh wait, this is kind of hard to do. All right, ready, smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was fun. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so I grabbed there's a sheet listed on the front. I think if you go to the Biomimicry Research and Innovation Center, you'll find it because it's listed biology, design, engineering, business, and polymers. So there's one core course required, and the 3 choices are Biomimicry Foundations, Biomimicry Design Challenge, or Technology-Based Startups. Each of those are 3 credits. And then there's core courses 2, and you have to choose 2 of those: Physics of Living Systems, Comparative Biomechanics, or Biodesign. So I think that's it. It doesn't say that there's any additional electives that you have to choose. It sounds like it's 3 of these classes, but it's really amazing. And I mean, these folks are super talented at what they do, and a lot of the very cool research that's coming out of biology and engineering is housed in this idea of biomimicry. So like the reusable gecko tape, that's biomimicry. The strength of spider silk and the properties of spider silk that they're looking at through the biomimicry lens. So a lot of these kind of material science and engineering type science that it's like this great intersection of those things are kind of working through this biomimicry lens, because it really is unique to University of Akron in a lot of ways. I mean, you're starting to see others of these pop up, but when the PhD program was founded, which was, I don't know, I want to say like 7 or 8 years ago, I was still in my PhD when the biomimicry fellowships were started for the PhD program. It was the only one in the world. And that's amazing. I mean, it's a resource that really can't be beat. And the way that those fellowships work is that as a PhD fellow, you're embedded in a company. So some of the first PhD fellows in biomimicry were embedded at like Gojo. And so they were thinking about how to make more efficient soap dispensers. There's a biomimicry fellow at Smucker's right now talking about food science. I mean, it's really all pretty incredible. Like the breadth of the innovations. I always think that in terms of biomedical stuff, this is the area for the most growth. I mean, if you think about new needles that they're making that are painless needles based on mosquito proboscis, or needles that won't come out based on porcupine spines. There's all kinds of just very cool things. And then the entrepreneur part is very amazing too. Like some of the students that graduated in that first cohort of fellowships, first or second cohort, are the ones that designed the football helmets based on the hedgehog spines. So, they're getting money. People are giving them money to be designers of these new football helmets. And if you think about the impact that could have long term on, our most valued athletes. Talk about a social justice issue. We have athletes who are getting, yes, paid a ton of money, but B, are playing a sport and having irreparable brain damage and, dying in early death because we haven't figured out how to protect their noggins good enough, and that's so that people can enjoy watching football. Like that to me is social justice. If we figure out a way to protect those players better through the lens of biomimicry, like that's a huge win, not only for the players, but for society, really. I mean, we should want those elite athletes to live well into their 80s, rather than dying of traumatic brain injuries in their 50s and 60s.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. And if you can't find it, Keith, just let me know. Shoot me an email and I'm happy to point you in the right direction.
How do you recommend widening and reaching out for the education team? How do you, like, what steps and advice do you have?
Sure. I mean, that is always, right, the biggest challenge. Like getting your foot in the door is usually one of the hardest parts. You know, teachers are awesome, but they're also completely overloaded with their own stuff. And they generally have like already planned out like where they want to go on field trips and what lessons that they're doing. And it's hard to change those kind of things when people are they're just looking to finish what they need to do. So if you guys are looking to get into particular schools, like we have contacts at both the STEM middle school and the STEM high school, that would be a really natural fit for you guys because you're on campus. And so you could even conduct in-classroom visits with those potential schools. If you were looking to get into North High School, then we could get you in touch with a teacher there. If you wanted to get into Bookdole, into the middle school, then we could help you find teachers there. We have really great relationships with the Copley Fairlawn elementary schools, so like Arrowhead and Herberich elementary schools, and so we could get you in touch with teachers there. I do think that personal connection to a teacher is the way to go. So like we don't often work with Revere schools. It's not because I don't want to. That's our local school district here at the field station, but I just haven't found a teacher that wants to partner on anything yet. And so that relationship building then is much harder. So if you guys want to say this is where we're looking at getting into, can you provide us with names? Then I'll direct you to the people that I know, because it really is those one-on-one relationships that help build up a program to make it successful. It's kind of like that concept of working in a nonprofit. Like if you are working in a nonprofit in a bubble, serving a particular group of constituents, but you've never asked the constituents what they want or what they need, your nonprofit isn't going to be very successful, right? You need to reach out to the people that you're working with to say, what kind of things would be beneficial to you and how can we help you achieve those goals? So just ask me, send me an email, and I'm happy to direct you to places and folks as well.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Anyone else?
Do you have any advice for finding a job like yours?
Well, I mean, I will say volunteer as much as you possibly can. So I would say that 50% of my time, even now, having a job is volunteering. So I'm on, just like you guys are a part of this group and you're taking initiative, these are really important things that other students are not doing and other adults are not doing, you know? So reach out to find those interest groups, those common interest groups that share your interest in what your kind of career goals are, and then really follow through and be a good advocate within those spaces. So I'm on the board of like, I don't know, 4 or 5 organizations related to what I do here for my job. I volunteer at least once a week doing something. So like last weekend I went and did a beach cleanup because I got really interested in the plastic pollution idea through that National Geographic class and through my working with the teacher at the Our Lady of the Elms. And so I joined the board of Surf Rider Northern Ohio, and now I do monthly beach cleanups because to me, you know, like my life is about living what I believe in, right? I mean, I love my job and I work like crazy for this job, but that's very layered. So like I'm constantly thinking about ways to make this place better and ways to be more just in the way that I interact with folks and ways to to help provide opportunities. And so all of those things are just super important. Like, even though school is overwhelming and you're busy, when I was getting my PhD, my advisor was telling me, stop doing all your volunteer work. Don't do any of that. It's taking away from your PhD. Well, the volunteer work is what got me this job, because as a scientist, I didn't have any background in environmental education, but I was doing environmental education in my volunteer time. And that was the skill that they were looking for when I applied for the job here. And so, you know, that was bad advice. Like, yes, you should work yourself so thin that you you have no energy left to finish school. School is the most important thing, right? You got to finish, you got to have your degree, you have to come out of there not totally burned out and not able to you know, process what just happened over the last 4 or 5 years. Like, you need to have that strong base, but layer your life so that all the things that you're doing are working together in kind of this, your own little ecosystem. You know, have your hobbies be the things that are supported by your interests in your career. And then that way, you're like a package deal. You know, you have this ability to be creative through your hobbies and passionate through your volunteer opportunities and knowledgeable through your schooling. And that's what employers are looking for. And I think it lets you cast a broader net into your career goals, you know? So I never thought that my main job would be like a naturalist, but that's what my job is now. Like, I teach people about nature. Did I need a PhD to do that job? I don't know. I mean, to do this job, probably, you know, and then it's opened up all of these other avenues because it's just so much of what I'm interested in. And, you know, really they say, like, if you have a job that you love what you do, that you're not really working. That's not true. I work really hard, but I love it most of the time, and it's fun and it's worth it and it's rewarding, and I feel empowered and engaged and you know, motivated to make and leave the world a better place. And I mean, you know, some people, that's not their gig. Like, some people just want to, you know, get a job and make money and they don't care how they leave the world. Like, but I think just the fact that you guys are all involved in this group speaks to the fact that you do have, you know, an idea that we can improve upon what is the status quo for now and potentially help solve problems that are pretty dire and serious and major moving forward. And so I guess it's my very long-winded answer of, like, try to weave together the life that you want to live in all kind of facets. And I think that the job will present itself to you. You know, you cast that wide net and you're going to be able to find something that really links all of those things together so that you feel happy and fulfilled and like that you're really being able to make a difference.
Thank you. I've got one more question. What opinions on graduate school? Do you think people should go right away after their undergrad, or do you think they should work first? I guess, do you have an opinion on that?
I don't necessarily have an opinion. What I did was I went to school, and then I worked and made some money, and then I went back and got a master's, and then I worked, and then I went back and got my PhD. So I had a long gap of working and schooling interspersed. And it definitely is beneficial in some ways. I mean, I feel like I'm very well-rounded in, like, my back. So I worked in consulting, and then I got my master's, and then I worked at a nature center, and then I got my PhD, and now I'm here, which is kind of a combination of a lot of that business and nature center and science mixed together. So for me, that's been really beneficial. I will also say, like, I'm old now, right? So I'm, like, going to be 45 in January, and there were times when I was getting my PhD in my mid-30s that I was the oldest person in the program, and I had a ton of imposter complex. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't remember biology from my freshman year of college. Like, how am I even going to make it through these, like, very basic things that I should remember, but I don't because it's been 20 years from now. I mean, that's hard, you know, that was like a hard thing. Like you are out of shape. Your brain is out of shape in that way of learning, you know? So like even now I've gone back to get this nonprofit certificate and I have to like convince myself that I am qualified enough to like write a paper for a nonprofit class because I haven't written papers in 5 years, and the paper that I wrote 5 years ago was a PhD dissertation. It wasn't a social science type paper. So, you know, I think that there's benefits for having that varied experience. I also I really do think you can get a lot of life experience through volunteering that you do concurrently with schooling and or a job, that you don't have to live inside these little boxes of only grad school and that's all I'm doing. Even though some people do, that works for them. I think that I survived graduate school, at least the PhD part of my graduate school, because I had life outside of graduate school. You know, I have all my animals and a house and a partner, and you know that balanced some of that, like how stressful graduate school can be. But I know lots of people that have gone straight through and they're super successful. I loved graduate school in general, and I think it's a totally different experience than undergraduate school in a way that's much more fulfilling, and a way that you really, you dial into your strengths and your interests better than undergraduate. So you guys in your later years of undergraduate probably feel that you're dialing in a little bit, but I mean, I think of myself as like a freshman or a sophomore in college, and you're taking biology and chemistry and English and speech class and Latin and whatever else you're taking, and like you're spread very thin, you're not focused, you take a lot of classes that you may not have any interest in or desire to take. Like for me, it was half my biology classes, physics, organic chemistry, calculus. Like I could have done without any of those classes. In my life and career, I have no need for them. But so they were hard, struggle to get through as an undergraduate. And then graduate school, I got to take, you know, ecology and ornithology and ichthyology and herpetology. And like, I got to play in the mud, and it was perfect. It was the perfect match for me. So it also was way reflected in my grades. Like, in, you know, going back to graduate school as an adult, like I had a 4.0 in all my graduate classes, and like I barely got into a graduate program from my undergraduate because I had just a 3.0 because it was a different ballgame. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
So very chatty.
I have a question that's more like a favor. And if the answer to it is no, that's okay, because I understand you're very busy. But is there any way you could kind of put together and maybe send it to Kayla, like just a list of some of the different organizations that you volunteer with, or just volunteer opportunities that you think we could kind of get involved in? Because I know that like I want to get out there and do it. It's just very daunting to like kind of find where to start with that.
Sure, yeah. If you send me an email and tell me what kind of some of your interests are, that will help me be able to direct you to certain places. But the other thing is in a normal year, I would have volunteer opportunities out here for you guys. Anybody that wanted them could come help with field trips and in-classroom visits and those kind of real, like you could come do the biomimicry stuff with me in a classroom, and it's so fun, I can't even tell you. But we're just not doing it this year. So hopefully by next fall, we'll be doing that again, and we can revisit this conversation, and you can come be a volunteer at the field station, which would be super. And, you know, we could really cater your experience then. But if you shoot me an email and tell me kind of your interests, I'm pretty in tune with a lot of things going on, and I'll try to find something that might fit what you're thinking.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, Kayla, thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much for coming. It was really great. I think I might still have that video that you showed.
Oh, good.
Biomimicry. I think I downloaded it from your slides over summer.
It's really good
too. So I will double check and see if I still have it, because that is a wonderful video. Very inspiring.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's
thank
so
you.
Good. I highly recommend it. It's only 20 minutes, totally worth your while. And then feel free to share my email address with everybody, Kayla.
Okay.
And also, really, if you guys want to come out for a hike, you know, a socially distant hike, I'm happy to show you around. Bring a mask and I'll take you around the property, and it's a great place. If I'm here, I'm happy to meet you. If not, you can explore on your own. It's really worth it. It's so close, and there's so many great other natural resources to plug into around Akron. Like, you know, we often think that we live in Ohio and it's so boring and all this stuff, but we have a national park and we have these Summit Metro Parks and they're amazing. And we have this Bath Nature Preserve and it's awesome. And like, there's great places to get out. And I will tell you, for your own sanity, you should all be getting out as possible in the next month as you can to get your vitamin D and to really soak in all of the great parts about nature and how good they are for your well-being and your emotional well-being, because it's going to be a hard winter with this COVID. So take advantage of all the great resources that are out there now while you can.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Okay, take care, everybody. Have a great night. Thanks for hanging out.
Thank you, you too.
Bye, thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Hey, Danny.
Thank you.